and welcome. I'm Tiffany. This is our small town life. Very happy to have you here today. We're sitting out on the back porch and we're going to talk a little bit about chickens today. I'm sitting here looking at my chickens. It's that time of year. You go into a Tractor Supply, you hear the little cheeping and chirping. You're ordering chickens online. Some people don't realize you can do that. You can order chicks online and they'll ship them to you. They'll come to your local post office and they'll call you to come pick them up. But it's that time of year, and so I thought, you know what, it's a nice day. My kids are out here playing. You'll probably hear them. You'll probably hear the chickens. The roosters are very talkative right now, but it's a beautiful day, and I thought, let's sit on the porch and talk about chickens for a little bit. Before you get your chicks, as tempting as it is to just walk into Tractor Supply and come out with a box of baby chicks, there are some things that you need to think about and some things that you need to have prepared for them before you get them, and that's what we're going to talk about today. The first thing that you need to think about is, what breed of chicken do you want? I remember when we first started getting chickens, I thought, well, chicken's a chicken, right? But that's not the case. Different breeds have different qualities about them. Some are going to be very friendly and will want you to hold them and pet them and will eat out of your hand. And then others want to be observed from a distance. Some roosters will be very aggressive. And if you live somewhere where there's a lot of predators and things, that might be something that you want, a rooster that's really going to protect the flock. But if you're like us and you have young children, you may not want an aggressive rooster. You may not want roosters at all. If you're just wanting eggs for eating, you don't need a rooster. You would just need your hens. Chickens are pretty hardy, but some breeds may do better in cooler weather. Some may do better in warmer weather, so that's something to think about as well. Some lay a lot of eggs, some an egg a day almost, and then some don't lay as many but may lay a specific color that you're looking for that you want to add to your egg basket. Those are all things to think about when it comes to deciding what breeds you're going to purchase. And then you need to have a brooder ready for them. Before you get your chicks and bring them home, you need to have a place for them to go. Baby chicks are going to need some extra help from you to stay warm, and so you're going to want to have a brooder space for them to live in. The only time I would have baby chicks outside just in a coop is if a mama hen hatched them and was taking good care of them and keeping them warm and showing them where food was. But if you're brand new to chicks, chances are you don't have a hen that's hatching chicks out in the coop, and you're going to need to bring them inside and help take care of them until they're ready to go outdoors. I have a video that's dedicated to how we make our brooders around here, and I'll make sure that that's linked down in the description box. I actually have a whole playlist that's videos about chickens, and that will be down in the description box as well. So for our brooders, I do this pretty affordably. A lot of these things you may already have around the house. I take a big Rubbermaid container and I cut a hole in the lid and I zip tie chicken wire to cover that hole. Then I put pine shavings in the bottom. You want to avoid cedar because that can cause respiratory issues in chickens. But I put pine shavings in the bottom, and that makes it really easy to clean. They are animals. They poop. They get a little stinky. They get a little messy. I usually dump my shavings about once a week and refresh them. I dump them in my compost pile, and they make an excellent addition to the compost. But I put pine shavings in the bottom, and then you're going to want a heat source. That is very, very important for little chicks. They cannot regulate their temperature until they have true feathers, which takes a little while. And so I suggest getting a heat plate. They are a little bit more expensive than a heat lamp, but we love our heat plate. I started out with a heat lamp, and now that we have the heat plate, I much, much prefer it. It greatly reduces the fire risk that comes with it. It's a plate with 4 legs, and you can raise it as the chicks grow. They really love it. They get up underneath it like they would a mama hen, and it just works really well. If you're going to use a heat lamp, something else you can do instead of putting a heat bulb in it, which I find just seems to honestly be a little too hot and makes me nervous, you can use a regular 100-watt bulb, and that, as long as you've got them inside where it's already room temperature, you can use a regular 100-watt bulb instead of the heat lamp bulb, and that gets plenty warm enough. You don't want to do an LED because that will not get warm, but we've used a 100-watt bulb in a heat lamp, and that's done okay. But if you can get a heat plate, I highly, highly suggest that you do that. The next thing you're going to need is food and water, and you're going to get a chick starter. You can get a couple of different brands at stores like Tractor Supply, at your local farmers co-op or feed and seed stores. Tucker Millings is a good brand. It's made here fairly local to us, and I really like it. I also like the other feed that I can get at my farmers co-op. But you're going to need a chick starter, and that's what they're going to eat until they start laying eggs at like 4 to 6 months old. You're going to feed them a chick starter. You can put it in your brooder in just about anything. You could put it in a plate, but they're going to scratch it out. Chicks like to scratch. Chickens like to scratch, and they'll waste a lot of it. So I suggest you get one of the little feeders that have holes in it where they can just peck the feed out without scratching it. You're going to want to put some rocks in their water. Chicks can drown, so the rocks keep them from getting too far in the water, but they can still get their beaks in and drink. Some people put probiotics and electrolytes in the water, and I have done that before, but I found what works really well for us is to put, for every quart of water, I put about a teaspoon or so of apple cider vinegar in the water, and our chicks have done really well on that. That's what you need in your brooder. You need a safe place for them, a heat source, and their food and water, and as well as something in the bottom to help keep it clean. For those first 3 to 4 weeks, I leave that heat source in there and then slowly start removing it. I may take it out during the day and put it in at night, and then take it out completely. As far as the little rocks and the water, I kind of do the same thing with them. After about 2 to 3 weeks, I'll take those out. After your chicks have their feathers, they're about 6 to 8 weeks old, they're ready to go outside. And this is something you need to think about before you get those little baby chicks, because I know you think, oh, I got 6 weeks. I don't have to think about that right now. We'll get there. But it'll come faster than you think, and you'll have these quickly growing chicks in your house that are running out of space and need somewhere to go. You can do a couple of different things when it comes to coops. You can get some prefab type coops. We have one from Producer's Pride that works really well for us. And we've got one from Tubing that has worked well. I will say the Tubing coop is made from wood, and so you may want to keep it somewhere that's covered where the other is metal. You can do DIY coops. Our big coop is a repurposed playhouse, and it works fantastic. And then we have a metal frame run that was purchased off of Amazon that comes out from it. So that's what we do for our chicks. There's a little, where's he at? There he is, a little visitor. Once your chicks go outside, you may also want to look into a bigger feeder and water for them. Something else to note, and if you're new to chickens, this may not apply right now, but it's still good to know. When you first put your chicks outside, you don't want to put them in with big chickens, full-grown chickens. When they're still small, when your chicks are still small, you don't want to put them in with full-grown chickens because they'll get pecked on. They could possibly kill them. There are some steps you could take to try to introduce them to each other, but for the most part, it works out best if they're about the same size. So when we bring our chicks outside, we put them in our small coop. Then when they're big enough, we start moving them in to the big coop with our established flock. But the same thing goes for chicks in your brooder as well. If you have 2 to 3 week old chicks in your brooder that are already starting to grow, and you put 2 to 3 day old chicks in there, the same thing can happen. So it's just something to be aware of. Another thing that I like to mention when I'm talking about chickens is, and I mention this because I think chickens have become a little bit of a novelty item. Chickens do not, and chicken coops do not always look like what you see on Pinterest and on Instagram. It gets messy. You have to clean it. Overall, chickens are a fairly easy homestead animal to have. A fairly easy pet to take care of if that's what you're looking for. But they have to be cleaned up after. You have to clean out the coop. You've got to make sure that they have clean water and food. And this pristine white coop that you see pictures of, and the chickens pecking around in the green grass, while that does happen, a lot of times they're muddy if it's rained, or the coop has poop in it and needs to be cleaned. So that's just something that I always like to mention, as well as the fact that if you're getting chicks for eggs, your chickens are not going to start laying until they're about 4 to 6 months old. The chicks that we got last spring, we got them almost exactly this time last spring, end of February, 1st of March. I think we got our first eggs early July, maybe, somewhere around in there. So you can expect your spring chicks to give you eggs, I would say, early fall. We love our chickens and we enjoy taking care of them. I think we enjoy it more than we even thought that we would. We enjoy seeing their different personalities. Justin, he has what has become a pet. It's a little Vanny rooster, Hercules, and he will come up to Justin and want to be held and petted, and they've just become the best best of friends. We really enjoy our chickens, and they love us back and give us eggs. I hope you found this video helpful if you're thinking about getting some new chicks this year. I get a lot of questions about our chickens, so I thought this would be a good opportunity to sit down and give you a little information about what you need and kind of the things you need to think about when it comes to adding chickens to your home or your homestead. The boys brought all of our eggs for today and sat them up here on the grill. I need to get them and take them in the house. I'll show you a little clip of the eggs that we got today. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll see you in the next one. Bye, y'all. Hey, you want to see the eggs? Here are our eggs from today. This one's from one of our little Bantams. How many did we get today? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.